Somewhere in rural Turkey, right now, a shepherd is sleeping soundly while his flock of 300 sheep rests in open land. No fence, no weapon, no electric wire, just a dog. And somewhere on the edge of that same field, a wolf is deciding whether tonight is worth the trouble. It usually decides it isn't. We've spent so much time talking about dogs as companions, as cuddle partners and apartment dwellers, and emotional support animals, that we've almost completely forgotten what some of these breeds were actually built to do. Not fetch a ball, not sit on command, guard livestock against apex predators, fight off animals that can hit 150 pounds, run at 35 miles per hour, and hunt in coordinated packs. So the question isn't really, can a dog kill a wolf? The real question is, which dogs were specifically engineered over thousands of years to stand between a wolf and something it wants? And what does that mean when one of those dogs is standing in your backyard? We're covering 7 breeds today. One of them is older than most civilizations. One of them wears what's essentially battle armor as standard equipment. And the last one on this list, I'll tell you right now, makes wolves reconsider their life choices just by existing. Stay for that one. Number 7. German Shepherd. Before you roll your eyes, hear me out. The German Shepherd doesn't get listed in these conversations because people assume it's too domestic, too police dog, too suburban. But the GSD was originally bred in the late 1800s as a serious herding and livestock protection dog in rural Germany. It was designed to be fast, fearless, and capable of deterring predators independently, without waiting for a human to intervene. A working-line German Shepherd in a livestock guardian role is a completely different animal from the show-line family pet you're picturing. Working lines hit 70 to 90 pounds of lean muscle, have a prey drive that doesn't turn off, and have been used by military and police forces globally because they have the combination of intelligence, physical capability, and controlled aggression that most breeds simply don't. Against a lone wolf, a confident, well-conditioned working GSD holds its own. Against a pack, it's going to lose, but it's not going to run. And that matters more than people realize. The dog's willingness to stand its ground is often enough to redirect the wolf entirely. The honest reality of owning one. German Shepherds shed like they're personally offended by cleanliness. You will find hair in your coffee, in your mouth, probably in a sealed container you haven't opened in 3 months. They also need a serious job, mental and physical, or they'll redecorate your house out of sheer boredom. Don't get a working line GSD if you live in an apartment and work 12-hour shifts. That's not a dog situation. That's a hostage situation. Number 6. Kangle Shepherd Dog. Now we're getting into genuine wolf territory. The Kangle comes from the Sivas region of Turkey and has been guarding Anatolian livestock for thousands of years. Not hundreds, thousands. This is a breed that predates most modern nations. And it wasn't guarding against small predators. It was built specifically to deter wolves, bears, and jackals on open Anatolian steppe where backup was hours away. What makes the Kangle remarkable isn't just its size, though 100 to 145 pounds of lean, fast muscle is genuinely alarming. It's the combination of speed and bite force. The Kangle holds the record for the strongest bite force of any domestic dog, somewhere around 743 pounds per square inch. For reference, a wolf bites at roughly 400 pounds per square inch. The Kangle hits nearly double that. It doesn't just absorb an attack, it ends one. Kangles are calm, quiet, and deeply loyal in a way that doesn't announce itself loudly. They don't bark constantly. They don't perform affection for strangers. They watch. They assess. And if something threatens their flock or their family, the response is immediate and overwhelming. Here's what nobody tells you about Kangles as pets. They are not domestic dogs wearing a livestock guardian costume. They are livestock guardians who have been asked to move inside. They patrol perimeters. They're nocturnal by habit. They make their own decisions. You don't command a Kangle so much as you build a relationship with one. That requires patience, confidence, and a lot of land. Do not get a Kangle if you want an obedient dog that follows commands on a dime. That's not this breed. It never will be. Number 5. Caucasian Shepherd Dog. Caucasian Ovcharka. If the Kangle is the athlete of this list, the Caucasian Shepherd is the tank. Coming out of the Caucasus Mountain region, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, this breed was guarding flocks against wolves and bears in some of the most brutal terrain on Earth. It developed in isolation for so long that it's genetically distinct from most other livestock guardians, and it looks the part. Males regularly hit 150 to 220 pounds. Some reach 230. With a thick double coat that adds to the visual mass, a Caucasian ovcharka approaching you in low light is a genuinely unsettling experience. They're not just big, they're aggressive in a specific, purposeful way. Not reactive like a dog that barks at everything, but territorial in a way that is deeply hardwired. They will not warm up to strangers, not after a few visits, not after a few months. The wariness is permanent and intentional. It's what kept wolves away for centuries. Here's the thing about the Caucasian Shepherd that most people don't fully absorb until it's too late. This dog is not going to defer to you automatically. It has spent thousands of years making independent protection decisions without human input. You're going to have to earn its respect, and that process does not go smoothly with inexperienced owners. They're also a grooming commitment that borders on a part-time job. That double coat mats badly without regular attention, and bathing a 200-pound dog that doesn't want to be bathed is genuinely one of the hardest physical tasks in dog ownership. Stunning, powerful, historically irreplaceable, and 100% not for the average dog owner. Number 4. Tibetan Mastiff. This one comes with its own mythology. The Tibetan Mastiff was bred in the Himalayas, high altitude, extreme cold, isolated mountain villages, to guard monasteries, homes, and yak herds against snow leopards, wolves, and bears. It is one of the oldest breeds on the planet, with a genetic lineage that traces back thousands of years. Marco Polo described them as tall as a donkey. That's only slight exaggeration. Males hit 90 to 150 pounds, with a lion-like mane and a bone structure that's genuinely massive. They're also nocturnal, most active at night, which is exactly when predators move, and their bark is a low, resonant sound that carries across mountain valleys. Tibetan villagers traditionally kept them tied during the day and released them at night to patrol freely. The temperament is proud, independent, and not particularly interested in pleasing you. This is not a golden retriever who happens to be big. This is a dog with its own internal hierarchy and a deep sense of its own authority. It bonds to its family intensely, but on its own terms and timeline. The honest flaw that will break most owners. Tibetan Mastiffs are catastrophically stubborn. Training them is less about repetition and reward, and more about negotiation with a very large animal that has a long memory and a short tolerance for being pushed. They also come with a price tag that reflects their rarity. Reputable breeders charge $2,000 to $5,000 and up. Regal doesn't begin to cover it, but Easy doesn't come anywhere near this breed either. And if you think the Tibetan Mastiff sounds like a lot, number 3 is wearing a spiked collar to work. Literally. Number 3. Sarplaninac, Yugoslavian Shepherd. Not as famous as the others on this list. That's a mistake. The Sarplaninac comes from the Shar Mountains straddling North Macedonia and Serbia. High, rugged terrain where winters are brutal and wolves aren't hypothetical. This breed has been working livestock protection in the Balkans for over 2,000 years and remains one of the most respected LGDs, livestock guardian dogs, among working shepherds in the region. What makes it different from the Kangle or the Caucasian is the disposition in pack situations. The Sarplaninac was specifically bred to work in groups, multiple dogs, coordinated defense. A pack of 3 or 4 Sarplaninacs facing a wolf pack doesn't just hold its ground. It actively pushes back, with a level of coordinated aggression that has genuinely driven wolves off and away from flocks repeatedly in documented shepherd accounts. They're 66 to 99 pounds, not the largest on this list, but dense, fast, and completely fearless in a way that comes from centuries of actually doing this job, not just looking like they could. For owners, the challenge is the same as most LGDs. They are not people pleasers. They're slow to trust new humans and will make protection decisions independently. But people who work with them describe a loyalty that runs deep and quiet. Once it's earned, it's permanent. Number 2. Anatolian Shepherd. The practical one on this list. The Anatolian Shepherd comes from, you guessed it, the Anatolian Plateau of Turkey, and has been used across the globe as a working livestock guardian on every continent except Antarctica. Conservation programs in Namibia and Kenya have used Anatolians to protect farmer flocks from cheetahs and lions, which means this is a breed with documented effectiveness against large wild predators in active working conditions. They hit 80 to 150 pounds, they're agile for their size, and they have the same hardwired independence as the Kangle, but in a form that's been described as slightly more adaptable to working alongside humans with training. Slightly. This is still not a beginner breed. The Anatolian's wolf deterrent isn't just physical, it's psychological. A well-socialized Anatolian establishes its scent and presence across a defined territory in a way that predators recognize and avoid. Wolves are smart. They don't take unnecessary risks. When they smell an Anatolian, they calculate the odds and usually decide the next valley over is a better option. They shed aggressively twice a year, what owners call coat blow, and require serious space and purpose to stay balanced. A bored Anatolian on a small property is a problem. An Anatolian with a job is one of the most effective, hard-working animals you will ever meet. Number 1. The Komondor. Here it is. The dog that looks like a walking mop, wears natural dreadlocks as armor, and has been sending wolves the other direction in Hungary for over 1,000 years. The Komondor is not an accident. That iconic corded coat, which takes years to fully develop and can weigh up to 15 pounds on its own, was specifically evolved to protect the dog from wolf bites. It's not decorative, it's functional battle armor. A wolf's jaws close on those cords and grip nothing. The dog underneath is unharmed and fully operational. At 80 to 130 pounds of pure muscle underneath all that coat, the Komondor is faster than it looks, more agile than it looks, and far more dangerous than it looks. Hungarian shepherds trusted them to guard flocks overnight, alone, against multiple wolves, and they did it. For centuries. The personality is serious, not aloof, serious. The Komondor is deeply bonded to the family or flock it protects and treats every stranger as a threat until proven otherwise. That's not a training failure. That's the breed functioning exactly as designed. In modern pet contexts, it means early and intensive socialization is non-negotiable. Without it, you have a 100-pound animal making permanent threat assessments about everyone who comes to your front door. The coat maintenance is genuinely its own lifestyle. You don't brush a Komondor. You separate the cords by hand, regularly, over hours. Bathing takes an entire day and requires a full dry cycle to prevent mildew. This is a dog that rewards patience and punishes shortcuts. Most people see a Komondor puppy and fall completely in love with the novelty. The ones who last are the ones who understood from day one that this dog is not a novelty. It's an ancient protector in an unusual coat, and it takes that job with complete seriousness, whether you've given it a flock or not. Ending. Here's the truth that ties all 7 of these together. None of them are pets in the conventional sense. They're working animals who have been asked to adjust to a domestic world they weren't designed for. Some of them do it gracefully. Some of them do it on their own terms. All of them do it better when the owner actually understands what they are. The wolf isn't the thing most of these dogs' owners need to worry about. The real challenge is giving a breed built for open land, real threats, and independent decision-making a life that makes sense. Inside a suburb, on a leash, with a neighbor who's a little too friendly. That's the harder job. And most owners don't figure that out until they're already in it. So tell me, do you own one of these breeds? Or are you sitting here genuinely considering one now? Drop it in the comments. Tell me which breed, and tell me honestly, did you know what you were getting into before you got one? I read every comment, and I genuinely want to know, because I think the answers are going to be a lot more honest than the breeders' websites were.